What if I told you your own brain is tricking you? Every day it feeds you thousands of thoughts, and most of them are just mental clutter. Anxiety about the future, regrets about the past, endless inner dialogue. Sound familiar? And what if I told you that 99% of people make the same critical mistake trying to get rid of it and only make things worse? They try to fight their thoughts. In this video, I'll reveal the methods neuroscientists and psychotherapists use not to fight your mind, but to negotiate with it. We won't be talking about cheesy advice like, just think positive. We'll break down specific, step-by-step techniques that will help you hit the stop button on mental noise. Watch until the end, and you'll discover how to turn your mind's greatest enemy into your most trusted ally. By the way, tell me in the comments right now, what thought haunts you most often? Let's see how similar we all are. Before we dive into the techniques, let's take a second to understand why our brain generates this stream of consciousness in the first place. Imagine your brain not as an enemy, but as a very ancient and somewhat paranoid security system. Its primary job, shaped by millions of years of evolution, is to ensure your survival. It constantly scans your surroundings and your internal experience for potential threats. What if I'm late for work? Did I do the right thing yesterday? What if something bad happens? All of this is your internal alarm system at work. The problem is, in the modern world, actual threats, like a saber-toothed tiger around the corner, are far less common, but the system remains just as sensitive. It reacts to social threats, work deadlines, and personal worries with the same intensity. So, these unnecessary thoughts aren't a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a sign that your brain is simply doing its ancient job, too well. Our task isn't to break this system, but to teach it to operate effectively in modern conditions, to recalibrate it so it doesn't sound the alarm over every little thing. So, the first and most crucial step, one that goes against all our natural instincts, is to stop fighting. Imagine you're caught in quicksand. What does your instinct tell you to do? Exactly. To struggle and thrash with all your might. And what's the outcome? You sink even faster. It's the same with your thoughts. The harder you try not to think about something, the more stubbornly that thought latches onto your consciousness. This is known as the white bear effect. Try right now not to think about a white bear. What happens? It immediately pops into your head. Therefore, our first technique is a paradigm shift. Instead of struggling, we choose observation. Imagine your thoughts are like clouds drifting across the sky, and you're the sky itself. Clouds come and go, they change shape. They can be dark or light, but they are never the sky. You are not your thoughts. You are the vast space in which they appear. Simply observe them without judgment, just like those passing clouds. This is the fundamental groundwork for all subsequent methods. Let's dive into a practical technique that can help you cultivate that inner observer. This technique is known as labeling. When an intrusive thought pops into your head, instead of getting caught up in it and letting it spiral, you simply give it a name, assign it a label. For instance, imagine a thought like, I'm definitely going to mess up this interview. Everything will go wrong and I'll make a fool of myself. Instead of buying into that scenario, you mentally note, that's a catastrophic thought, or simply anxiety. Or if you find yourself replaying an awkward conversation over and over, right, that's a reminiscing thought, or more simply, rumination. What does this achieve? First, you create distance. The thought is no longer an absolute truth. It becomes just another mental event, one of many. Second, you shift brain activity from emotional centers, like the amygdala, to the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for logic and analysis. You transform from a participant in the drama into an observer. Try doing this throughout the day. You might label thoughts as a future thought, a judgmental thought, or a planning thought. You'll be surprised how much this simple act reduces the emotional intensity of your experiences. But what about those incredibly persistent, sticky thoughts that just seem impossible to shake off? That's where a paradoxical technique comes into play. Instead of trying to push them away, we do the complete opposite. We approach them, but on our terms. This method is called worry time. Set aside a specific time in your schedule, for instance, 15 minutes every day at 6 p.m. This becomes your official, scheduled worry session. Throughout the day, whenever an intrusive thought pops up, you don't try to banish it. Instead, you acknowledge it, saying something like, "Hello, thought. I see you. Thanks for the reminder. I'll make sure to think about you today at 6 p.m. during my dedicated worry time." Then you jot it down in a notebook or your phone's notes app. What happens then? Firstly, you stop fighting the thought, which immediately drains it of its energy. Secondly, by deferring your engagement, most of those urgent and terrible thoughts lose their relevance and emotional edge by the time your worry session arrives. Then when you finally sit down at 6 p.m. to think about them, you're doing so consciously, treating it like a task, rather than feeling like a victim of panic. More often than not, you'll discover there's little, if anything, left to actually worry about. When our thoughts overwhelm us, we often lose touch with reality, getting completely lost in our own heads, caught up in a world of internal worries. To break free from this cycle, you need to quickly ground yourself by bringing your focus back to the present moment and into your body. That's where the simple yet powerful 5, 4, 3, 2.1 technique comes in. The moment you feel yourself getting swept away by a wave of anxiety, pause and, slowly, mentally, name 5 things you can see right now. For example, I see a lamp, a book on the table, a crack in the wall, my hands, a blue cup. Next, name 4 things you can physically feel. I feel the fabric of my shirt on my shoulders, the coolness of the table under my palm, the pressure of the chair against my back, my feet in my shoes. Then, 3 things you can hear. I hear the hum of the computer, the ticking of the clock, the sound of cars outside the window. After that, 2 things you can smell. I smell coffee, the scent of paper. And finally, 1 thing you can taste. You might take a sip of water or simply notice the taste already in your mouth. This technique effectively pulls your brain out of abstract worries and brings it back to the tangible physical world. Think of it as an emergency reboot for your nervous system. Sometimes, to shake off an unwanted thought, you just need to engage your brain with something more interesting and challenging. Our brains are, by their very nature, single-tasking when it comes to conscious attention. They can't fully concentrate on 2 complex tasks simultaneously. And we can actually use this to our advantage. This method is known as cognitive switching. The essence isn't just to passively distract yourself with something like watching a TV show, but to actively engage and fully load your brain's working memory. The next time an intrusive thought takes hold, try one of these suggestions. For instance, try counting backward from 100, subtracting 7 each time. 100, 93, 86. This requires intense focus, or recall and mentally sing the lyrics to a favourite song you haven't heard in ages. Try to name 20 countries that start with the letter A, or start tackling some mental math problems. Sudoku, crossword puzzles, learning a new language, or playing a musical instrument. These are all excellent ways to effectively crowd out an unwanted thought from your working memory. The key is that the task needs to be challenging enough to demand your full attention and engagement. Building on the idea of worry time, you can create a dedicated mental space. Let's call it the thought box or mental safe. This is a visualization technique designed to help you visually detach from your thoughts. Whenever an anxious thought arises, imagine a beautiful, sturdy box or safe in front of you. It could be wooden with intricate carvings, or made of steel with a combination lock, whatever you prefer. Mentally take that thought, visualizing it as a dark cloud, a spiky ball, or simply a piece of paper with text. Examine it carefully without judgment, then tell yourself, now is not the time for you, and gently place this thought into your box. Secure it with a key or a lock. You can even imagine tucking this box away on a high shelf in a closet. You're not eliminating the thought permanently, nor are you battling it. You're simply acknowledging it and promising to revisit it later when you're ready. This provides an immense sense of control. Thoughts no longer barge into your life uninvited. Now you decide when to open that box. And often, when you do eventually open it, many of the thoughts inside have already lost their power. Now here's a technique that might sound utterly ridiculous, but its effectiveness has been vouched for by numerous psychotherapists. Its goal is to strip negative thoughts of their emotional power over you. The technique is called Sing Your Worry. Take that most intrusive and frightening thought that keeps replaying in your mind. For example, I'm useless, I'm a loser. And now, sing it. Yes, you heard right, sing it. Pick the silliest, most upbeat tune you can think of. Like Twinkle, Twinkle Little Star, or Happy Birthday to You. Then loudly and with full expression, sing, I'm so useless. I'm a loser. Try singing it in a squeaky cartoon voice or in a booming bass like an opera singer. What's happening in that moment? You're creating cognitive dissonance. The serious, tragic content of your thought clashes with its utterly ridiculous delivery. Your brain can't simultaneously process something as a terrifying threat and a silly little song. The emotional charge that made the thought so powerful simply dissipates. It transforms from a terrifying monster into a funny clown. This is an incredibly powerful way to sever the habitual link between negative thought and negative emotion. Let's once again tap into the power of our imagination. Visualization isn't just daydreaming. It's the conscious use of mental imagery to shift your state of being. The technique I'm going to introduce is called the mental sanctuary. Your task is to create an ideal, safe, and peaceful place within your imagination. A sanctuary you can retreat to anytime you feel overwhelmed. Close your eyes and envision this place in vivid detail. It could be a white sand beach, a cozy cabin in the mountains, a sun-drenched forest glade, or even a spaceship soaring through the stars. The main thing is that this place resonates with you as a haven of complete peace and security. Now engage all your senses. What do you see? Notice the colours, the play of light and shadow. What do you hear? Is it the sound of waves, the chirping of birds, or the gentle crackle of logs in a fireplace? What do you feel? Perhaps the warm sand beneath your feet, a light breeze on your skin, or the comforting softness of a chair. What scents do you perceive? The salty tang of the sea, the crisp scent of pine, or the comforting aroma of freshly brewed tea. Make it a habit to visit your sanctuary regularly, even if it's just for a couple of minutes each day. Then, in moments of stress, you'll be able to instantly transport yourself there and find an immediate sense of calm simply by closing your eyes. Many of our unhelpful thoughts aren't based on facts, but rather on a distorted perception of reality, what we call cognitive distortions. Cognitive behavioural therapy, CBT, teaches us to be detectives about our own thoughts, to question and challenge them. The moment you catch yourself having a negative thought, don't automatically accept it as truth. Instead, put it to the test with 3 simple questions. Question 1. What concrete evidence do I have that this thought is 100% true? Not just partially true, not even 90% true, but absolutely, unequivocally true. You'll often discover that your most distressing thoughts are merely assumptions, not solid facts. Question 2. Is there another, more positive, or at least neutral way to look at this situation? This helps you break free from tunnel vision and see alternative perspectives. For instance, instead of thinking, my boss gave me a strange look, he must be trying to fire me, you might consider, perhaps he's just having a tough day. And the third most powerful question, what would I tell my best friend if they were in this exact situation, having these same thoughts? We tend to treat our friends with far more empathy and rationality than we often treat ourselves. Answering this question will help you gain an outside perspective and give yourself truly valuable advice. Based on radical acceptance, this method might feel counterintuitive. What if, instead of fighting a thought, ignoring it, or overanalyzing it, you simply thank your brain? Imagine your anxious thought is like an overzealous bodyguard, seeing a threat in every shadow. It means you no harm. In fact, it's desperately trying to protect you. It just goes about it very clumsily. When a thought like, "What if I get sick?" pops up, instead of spiraling into panic, mentally say, "Thank you, brain, for caring. I appreciate you trying to protect me and warn me about potential dangers, but I'm okay right now. I can handle this. You can relax." This approach shifts the entire dynamic. You stop being a victim of your thoughts and become their benevolent guide. There's no arguing, no need to prove anything. You simply acknowledge the intention behind the thought, the intention to protect, and gently let it go. This disarms anxiety. It's like telling your inner worrier, "I hear you, thank you, I've got this." Over time, this practice teaches your brain that not every potential threat requires a red alert response. Your breath is an incredible tool, always with you. It's your direct link, your personal remote control for your autonomic nervous system. When you're feeling anxious, your breath often becomes quick and shallow, but by consciously shifting your breathing pattern, you can send a powerful signal to your brain. Everything is okay. There's no danger. One of the most effective techniques for quickly finding calm is called box breathing. It's a method trusted by military personnel, athletes, and medical professionals to manage stress. The process is remarkably simple. Imagine a square. Each side represents a different stage of your breath, and each stage lasts for 4 seconds. To begin, sit up straight. Take a slow, deep inhale through your nose, counting silently to 4. Then gently hold your breath, counting to 4. Next, slowly and completely exhale through your mouth, counting to 4. And finally, hold your breath at the bottom of the exhale, counting to 4. That completes one full cycle. Repeat this cycle 3 to 5 times. As you do this, focus your attention on the count and on the gentle sensation of air flowing in and out of your lungs. This simple yet powerful practice effectively slows your heart rate, lowers blood pressure, and gently guides you out of fight or flight mode, bringing you back to a state of calm and mental clarity. Let's dive deeper into the world of thinking errors, or cognitive distortions. These are common thought patterns that twist our perception of reality, often making us see things in a negative light. Learning to recognize them is a powerful skill. One of the most widespread distortions is catastrophizing. This happens when we blow a minor issue into a global catastrophe. For instance, you make a typo in a report and your immediate thought is, "That's it, I'm going to be fired. I'll never find another job and I'll end up destitute." The moment you catch yourself doing this, say, "Stop! This is catastrophizing." Then ask yourself, what's the most likely outcome, not the absolute worst? Another common distortion is black and white thinking, also known as all or nothing thinking. Here, the world is split into only good and bad, success and failure. For example, if I don't ace this exam, I'm a complete failure. Learn to see the shades of grey. Instead, think, even if I get a B, that's still a good result. We also have mind reading, like thinking, "I know they're judging me negatively," and should statements, such as, "I should always do everything perfectly." Start identifying these thinking traps in your own mind. Simply recognizing that these are just distortions, not reality, is already half the battle. Another simple yet highly effective trick for managing your thoughts is the postponement method. It's similar to worry time, but works a little differently and applies to any intrusive thoughts, not just anxious ones. Imagine a thought popping into your head, demanding immediate attention. It could be an idea for a new project, an urge to check social media, or a sudden memory. Instead of dropping everything immediately and acting on it, you tell it, "Great idea. I'll think about that. But not right now. I'll think about it in 10 minutes. Or in an hour. Or after I finish my current task." You're not dismissing the thought. You're simply asking it to wait in the waiting room. This short interval works wonders. It breaks the impulsive stimulus-response loop. During these 10 minutes, the emotional intensity associated with the thought often subsides, and when you return to it, you can evaluate it more rationally and decide if it's truly worth your time and energy. Often it turns out that a thought which seemed critically important and urgent was merely a fleeting impulse. This technique trains your muscle of self-control and mindfulness. Sometimes the best way to break free from overthinking is to literally get out of your head and into your body. When we get caught in a loop of obsessive thoughts or rumination, we're often stuck in a very passive mental state. Physical activity is a powerful antidote. Movement shifts your focus from abstract worries to concrete bodily sensations. When you run, you feel your muscles working, your heart pumping, the wind on your face. Your brain simply doesn't have enough resources to simultaneously manage intense physical exertion and keep replaying the same thoughts. What's more, exercise, especially cardio, stimulates the production of endorphins, our body's natural mood boosters and pain relievers. You don't need to run a marathon. Even a brisk 15-minute walk around the block can work wonders. During your walk, try to consciously focus on the rhythm of your steps, your breathing, and what you see around you. Dancing to your favourite music, yoga, strength training, any form of movement you enjoy will be effective. You'll literally shake off stress and intrusive thoughts from your body. Our inner dialogue holds immense power over our state of mind. If you constantly repeat negative self-talk, those beliefs eventually become your reality. But we can consciously change this narrative by using antidote affirmations. This isn't about empty generic phrases like, I am the best. Instead, it's about crafting realistic and supportive counter-affirmations for your most persistent negative thought patterns. Start by identifying your core, sabotaging thought. For example, I never get anything done. I'm so disorganized. Now, create an antidote for it. It should be positive, in the present tense, and realistic. Instead of, I'll get everything done, which might feel untrue and trigger resistance. Try, I am doing the best I can with the resources I have right now. Or, each day I'm becoming more organized. Or, if your thought is, I'm afraid of failure, your antidote could be, every attempt, successful or not, is a valuable learning experience that makes me stronger. Write these affirmations down and repeat them several times a day, especially during moments when negative thoughts surface. Over time, you'll begin to reprogram your brain for a more constructive mindset. Our minds often feel like cluttered attics, packed with a jumble of old memories, fresh ideas, to-do lists, fears and hopes. This constant mental clutter creates a persistent background noise and a sense of unease. To bring order to this chaos, you first need to unload it all. For this, there's a wonderful technique known as a brain dump or free writing. Grab a sheet of paper and a pen. This is often more effective than typing, as it engages a different part of your brain, and simply start writing. Pour out whatever comes to mind without stopping, without censoring, and without trying to make it beautiful or logical. Complaints, fleeting thoughts, fears, shopping lists, literally everything bouncing around in your head. There's no need to reread or edit. Your goal is simply to clear space in your mind by offloading all this mental clutter onto paper. Write for 10 to 15 minutes without interruption. Once you stop, you might be surprised by a profound sense of lightness and clarity. Often, just seeing your thoughts laid out on paper reveals how exaggerated or illogical many of them are. You can then burn, tear up, or simply discard this sheet of paper. The physical act of letting go of it can be incredibly cathartic and therapeutic. One of the most advanced and powerful techniques for working with thoughts comes from acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT. It's known as cognitive diffusion, or simply diffusion. The core idea is to learn to perceive your thoughts not as objective reality, but simply as words. As a collection of sounds or symbols that appear in your mind, we tend to fuse with our thoughts, especially negative ones. A thought like, I'm a failure, is often perceived not as just a thought, but as a fact, the very essence of who we are. Diffusion helps break this fusion. There's a simple exercise. Instead of telling yourself, I'm a failure, try saying, I'm having the thought that I'm a failure. Do you feel the difference? It creates a sense of distance. You are the one observing that thought, not the thought itself. You can take this a step further. Imagine that thought written on leaves floating down a river, or on the cars of a train passing by a station. You don't jump onto that train, you simply observe it. This fundamentally alters your relationship with your inner world. Thoughts lose their power to control you. Humour is arguably one of the most underrated weapons we have against anxiety and intrusive thoughts. It operates on the same principle as, say, singing your anxious thoughts aloud. It strips them of their seriousness and power. This technique is known as taking it to the absurd. Take an anxious thought and begin to exaggerate it to utterly ridiculous, even comical proportions. Let's say you're plagued by the thought, what if I say something incredibly stupid during the meeting? Now start taking that scenario to its extreme. Yes, I'll blurt out something so utterly idiotic that everyone in the room will fall silent and stare. My boss will stand up, slowly walk over, and ceremoniously rip off my name badge. Then he'll call security, who, to the mocking jeers of my colleagues, will escort me out of the building. News of my monumental screw-up will hit global headlines. The president himself will make an emergency broadcast. A new form of profound idiocy will be named in my honour. Even aliens will travel to Earth to study my phenomenal brain, only to realise the depth of my stupidity and, utterly disappointed, turn around and fly back to their home planet. Keep pushing the boundaries until you can't help but crack up. The moment you laugh at your fear, it loses all its power over you. You'll clearly see its irrationality and the sheer absurdity of your worries. We've often discussed the benefits of a good walk, but you can elevate it into a powerful meditative practice known as mindful walking. This isn't just about getting from point A to point B. It's a complete immersion into the experience of walking and into the present moment. Find a quiet space where you can walk undisturbed for at least 5 to 10 minutes. Then begin to walk, but at a significantly slower pace than your usual stride. Shift all your attention to the sensations in your feet. Feel how your heel gently touches the ground, how the weight of your body smoothly rolls onto the ball of your foot, and how your toes softly push away from the surface. Notice the texture of the ground beneath your feet. Perhaps the firmness of asphalt, the softness of grass, or the crunch of gravel. Then gently expand your awareness. Feel the natural rhythm of your legs, the subtle engagement of your muscles. Sense the air moving across your skin, the warmth of the sun, or the refreshing coolness of the wind. Tune into all the sounds around you without judgment or analysis. Simply let them be, perceiving them as a rich, ambient soundscape. When thoughts inevitably arise, and they will, simply acknowledge them without judgment. Then, gently guide your focus back to the sensations of your walk. This practice teaches you to truly embody being here and now, using your own body as a grounding anchor. It keeps you firmly in the present moment, steering you away from the turbulent storm of unnecessary thoughts. And finally, we come to the most fundamental principle, the one that underpins all effective techniques. This principle is acceptance, not resistance. All our struggles with thoughts begin the moment we label some of them as bad, wrong, or dangerous, and then start to fight against them. But as we've already discussed, trying to fight your thoughts is like attempting to extinguish a fire with gasoline. It only intensifies them. Acceptance doesn't mean you have to like your anxious thoughts, or that you even have to believe them. Instead, acceptance is recognizing that thoughts simply come and go, a natural process of how the brain works. It's a willingness to let them exist, without clinging to them or pushing them away. Imagine you're standing on the bank of a river. Your thoughts are the water, constantly flowing by. Resistance is like trying to stop that river. It's exhausting and utterly pointless. Acceptance, on the other hand, is simply sitting on the bank and watching the current flow by. Sometimes the water will be clear and calm, sometimes murky and turbulent, but you remain on the bank. You are not the river. Realizing this simple fact is the ultimate skill in mastering your mind. That is true freedom. So, let's wrap things up. Today, we've explored an entire arsenal of 20 powerful methods to tackle unwanted thoughts. We've learned to be observers, not active participants, in the drama unfolding in our minds. We've practiced labeling thoughts, dedicating specific time to them, grounding ourselves through our senses, even singing our anxieties and pushing them to the point of absurdity. We've become detectives of our own thoughts, questioning their validity, and learned to appreciate our brains' sometimes clumsy attempts to protect us. But here's the ultimate secret. It's not about learning to completely stop your thoughts. That's both impossible and, frankly, unnecessary. Thoughts are simply the weather in the landscape of our mind. Sometimes it's sunny, sometimes a sudden storm rolls in. The real breakthrough happens the moment you realise you are not the weather. You are the sky. You are the vast space in which it all unfolds. And your goal isn't to control the weather, but to learn how to stay dry in the rain and truly bask in the sun. To stop being a slave to your thoughts and instead become their wise, calm observer. Thank you so much for sticking with this video until the very end. Your dedicated attention is truly the greatest reward. If you found even one method helpful, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. Here, we'll continue to explore the fascinating world of our brain. Now I have a question for you. Which of these 20 methods will you try first? Or perhaps you have your own tried and true method for handling mental clutter. Share your experiences in the comments below. Let's create a truly helpful discussion and support each other.